Those of you who watch me on the Black Bear Forge channel are already aware that I'm looking into doing some live streams over there. And I'm looking at doing live streams to kind of make up for the lack of in-person live events in the blacksmithing community during this current virus outbreak. It probably won't become a regular thing, but I do want to try and do a good job. I do want to use multiple cameras so we can get some close-ups. And just using a cell phone like I have on my previous test probably isn't the best way to go, particularly when it comes to audio. So that's what this Yolo Box is all about. This is supposed to make my life a little bit easier. Unfortunately, the information on this product is a little bit vague. I have seen lots of videos, just like the one I'm doing today, where people open it up, they talk about what it should be able to do, but I never see those people review the product again and say, this is how I'm using it, this is how it works. And unfortunately, it's just all a little vague on exactly how it does what it's supposed to do. So there's going to be a bit of a learning curve. So today I'm going to open this up, look at what's in the box, see what it's supposed to do, see if I can figure out how to set it up, and at least start working with it. Then we'll look at some other videos in the future, and I'm going to try and fill in those gaps all the other presenters have not filled in. The goal is to be able to use multiple cameras and switch between those cameras without having to do a whole bunch of running around during a live stream while I'm trying to move cameras. There'll probably be some of that. This thing claims it is a monitor, a switcher, an encoder, and a recorder. And it's supposed to transmit wirelessly or through an Ethernet cable to the internet. You don't need a laptop in between. This does everything to get the stuff onto the internet and go live, and you should be able to use it just about anywhere that you can get internet access. And this is the unit itself. And of course it comes with an instruction manual. This entire top half of the box is nothing but padding for that, so it was well packed. And what else is in the box here? We've got the unknown thing. This little thing is one of the things that nobody ever answers. It's a USB dongle of some sort, but the people that have done previous videos that I've watched never explain what this does. It's got a couple of HDMI cables, a little ball head so you can mount it to your camera, a right angle USB adapter, ooh, a carrying pouch, fancy. And it looks like a charging cable and a charging block. So that's what's in the box. Now just looking at this is the top side here, and on the very top, this has two HDMI in, so you can hook up two cameras that use HDMI. It's got a USB in, and I'm pretty sure that would work with a typical webcam that is a USB webcam. I'm not real sure how that's going to work with other devices. I don't know if I need a converter if I'm using an HDMI camera. I'm not sure if any of my cameras output video through USB or how that has to be set up. So there's going to be some learning curve to figure out what that port does. It's got an HDMI out, so you can go to a monitor if you were actually doing this someplace where people were gathering. You could have a big monitor for them to watch, or I could have another monitor for me to watch. An Ethernet connection, an audio in, and a USB Type-C, which I assume is just the charging port for this cable. Nothing on that side. Looks like maybe some speakers or vents on this side, maybe a vent fan on the back. On the bottom there's a power button, an SD card slot, a 1/4-20 threaded mount, which is what this would go into, so you mount it, a SIM card mount, and that's important, and an audio out so you can listen to the audio with headphones. Not that I'm going to do that if I'm live streaming, but if you had somebody that was helping you out, they might want to listen to the audio through headphones so they can get the audio dialed in just right. And this will have some volume adjustment on different audio channels so you can dink with the audio, just something you can't do while you're recording on a cell phone. You're pretty much stuck with whatever audio level the cell phone has built in, at least if this has a preamp. I've never seen it. So for the inputs, it has the two HDMI inputs, a USB input. You can get information off the SD card. I'm not sure if that's a previously recorded video, but I know you can get things like logos and watermarks and things like that that you've stored on an SD card. You can also record to the SD card, so you can have a recording of what you're doing for the live stream with all the switching in it. And then supposedly it will also pick up some other internet source, and I'm not real sure how that works. Hopefully there'll be a little bit of information in the owner's manual, although it's really quite a small owner's manual, and part of my understanding from other people's videos is that this may not be the most useful little bit of information. It shows you some of the different input types here, and it does say that you can use a video camera with an HDMI to USB adapter, so I may need one of those. But it doesn't tell you anything about that device. So there's a chance I can have 5 different inputs here. That won't be 5 different cameras, but it might be 3 different cameras, and perhaps if I'm doing a live stream that needs some sort of illustration or pictures of other steps of the process that are easier done ahead of time, I can put those on the SD card and bring them up during the live stream to show those examples. So the next few pages of the owner's manual looks like it's all just how to get into it and set it up. It's essentially a mobile device. Like I said, this has a SIM card slot, and that SIM card slot means you could set this up as a mobile device and you could live stream over 4G if you wanted to, if you're out someplace, as long as you had a cell phone connection. Of course, you'd have to pay for a service to do that. I probably won't do that. It has wireless in it, so you can connect wirelessly to whatever internet you have, and it can connect Ethernet cable to whatever internet you have. So it's got lots of connection options and should be able to do all of that right from this without taking your laptop or your computer into the blacksmith shop or out on the road with you onto a location or wherever you happen to be live streaming from. This should be all you need. No guarantees, I'm still trying to figure it all out. So we go through all that setup stuff and it'll tell you how to actually start the live stream. And it supports a custom RTMP, which I guess is the technical protocol for live streaming. And my understanding is right now for YouTube, I have to use that feature because Google has done something with YouTube that their connection with this doesn't currently work, but they're working on it. It should be fixed, and before long, I should be able to just hit the button on this that says YouTube and connect right to YouTube. This pretty much tells you how to operate the interface on this, but there is nothing in this owner's manual that tells you how to connect different cameras, what cameras you can connect via USB and what you have to connect via HDMI and all that kind of stuff. So the owner's manual isn't real useful as far as getting cameras set up to work with this. So that's something I'm going to have to figure out. And I'm going to take a few minutes here, make sure this is charged up, do all of that entry and enter my passwords, set up accounts and whatever I have to do. Now, I don't think I have to pay anything for their account to use their service and work with that. That's all partly included in the cost of this thing. So as long as you've got a YouTube account, a Facebook account, a Twitch account, all those things, and you should be able to stream to all those simultaneously. I'm not sure why you'd stream to multiple platforms at once, but if you wanted to have a video going to both Facebook and YouTube at the same time, they say you can do that. And I think I'll just mount this on this little tabletop tripod here. That's a nice support for it. Another thing this does say it can do is connect directly to a GoPro. And there's nothing in the instructions about how it does. I don't know if it's a wireless connection to the GoPro or how it connects to the GoPro, but it says it can do it. So we're going to see if we can figure out how to do that. But the GoPro does have HDMI out. My little Sony action camera has HDMI out. My 2 Canon cameras have HDMI out, but there's a little bit of a problem with those in that it is not what they call a clean HDMI. So if there's anything on the touch screen for the camera that you see, menus, navigation stuff, the little focus box for autofocus that says this is what you're focusing on, that would all go through the HDMI. So they can be used, but they may have some little issues, but we're going to have to find out how all this stuff works. I'm still at the very beginning of the learning curve on every last bit of this. And of course, the HDMI cables that they sent are full-size HDMI on both ends of the cable, and every camera I have with HDMI has a micro HDMI out. I have one HDMI cable with an HDMI micro, so I can hook one camera up. I'm going to have to get an adapter or get some more cables like this to be able to connect a second camera to this. But I can mess around with that USB port and see if I can figure out how to connect something to that. Taking a closer look at this little dongle or whatever it is, there are two little cover plates here that show kind of a Wi-Fi symbol, the kind of thing that you get on your phone that tells you how many bars of signal you have. And I don't know if this has something to do with connecting wirelessly to a cell service, or if maybe you plug this into that USB port and this connects wirelessly to some other wireless device like the GoPro. So I'll see you back here in half an hour next week. Hard to say how long it'll take me to figure this out. I do have this little Sony action camera set up, and you can see in this other camera that it is working. And it'll let me add more sources, but I don't have anything else here. I don't have an SD card in there, so there's nothing there. Living video, I assume that means something off the internet. Well, I'll say I've been at this most of the day so far, off and on. I haven't done this all day, but a little here and a little there, looking things up on the internet. Got signed into a Facebook user group for the YoloLiv stuff. And now I'm trying to figure out how to get a custom RMTP, I think that's the right thing, code to just try a little test live stream on YouTube. Unfortunately, my computer doesn't want to connect to the Wi-Fi system. It's one of the problems with doing this stuff in the basement. Need to do that because I don't have the YouTube integration completely functioning. Well, one of the things I did today, I think keeps going to sleep because I'm not doing anything. One of the things I did today was actually send an email to YoloLiv customer service, and I actually got a reply back in a couple hours, so that's really quite impressive, and they answered a lot of my questions. So I click on there, and it sends me a link that I then have to go to their web page and enter, and then I have to go to YouTube, and I have to get information from there, and there's a little bit of cut and paste back and forth, but that should get me into a YouTube live stream, so we're going to see what happens. But I have to do some of that on the computer, and that'll be one of the advantages when this thing is completely up and running the way it's supposed to, is I shouldn't have to have a computer handy at that point. Now, one of the things I found out about the audio in, I don't know if I mentioned earlier I was having trouble getting any audio through that audio in jack. That's one of the things that apparently there are some little specifics that this thing requires that they don't mention in the owner's manual. That is the absolute weakest part about this. My number one complaint is there's not enough information to tell you what to expect when you buy it, and once you get it, there's not enough information to tell you what you got. But anyways, the microphone requires a battery-powered microphone. I'm going to make this public, so some of you may have actually seen this before I actually did anything with it. Well, there's somebody watching something. So far, according to my device here, nothing's actually working, so somehow... Yep, there we've got some chat going on. Well, thanks for stopping by. What I want to know is the sound good on this? Is the picture quality good? And is it in sync? Because I was having some trouble syncing audio and video earlier. So if you can let me know that, that's mostly what I'm trying to accomplish now. So there's a little clap just to find out. I'm going to start the recorder there so I can play this back later. So is that all in sync? I'm really testing out a new device. It should let me have multiple cameras in the shop, and I thought I'd do it over here on this channel because it's a little bit less likely to draw a lot of attention, and I just want to find out if the darn thing works. This actually still says it's waiting for me, so I don't know if it's really working or not. The whole thing is really a bit confusing sometimes, so this is a real learning curve. The guys that do this all the time, I'm starting to have a lot of new respect for them. Yeah, I just have no way of knowing if this is really working or not. I had to go look at the computer to see that there were a few comments, and for some reason I'm just not getting them on the phone. I know it's possible. I got them on the iPad the other day when I did the little test live stream for the blacksmith shop. So for those of you who are watching this video that I've actually edited and hopefully makes more sense than the live stream that I just tried to do, my initial reaction with the Yolo Box is that it's just not documented very well. I think it's going to be capable if things were syncing well enough, and I still don't know if it synced on the live stream because I couldn't communicate with anybody on the live stream. I don't know if it went anywhere. I'm hoping somewhere I can find it saved on YouTube so I can go back and watch what I did even if nobody else ever saw it. But I'm not convinced it ever went anywhere, and that could just be an internet connection issue down here in the basement. It could be that I had something set wrong. You got to copy a code from here, you got to paste it there, you got to send it in. It said it was successful, but don't know for sure that it was, so we're still just guessing up to some point here. But once they get the automatic YouTube integration done, where you just say connect to YouTube and you enter your user account, you don't have to do any of that stuff. It's just going to do it for you, and it should work pretty flawlessly then. I shouldn't have to do any of this back and forth to the computer, and I'm looking forward to that working. And it sounds like it's something they've had working before, and it's just that Google and YouTube changed something, and now they got to reconfigure their system to make it work. So it's just one of those things when multiple people are trying to work together, it's sometimes you run into these little kerfuffles. So anyways, I'm going to do some more videos on this as I learn how to use it. I'm not sure how to learn it other than to use it and put up live streams that might be kind of sad and kind of pitiful. Maybe I'll do some on the Black Bear Forge Facebook page, try it on Facebook. This thing will do multiple different platforms, but since YouTube is my main thing, I thought I'd try and do it on YouTube. But that doesn't really give me a good test of this thing if I'm setting it up wrong. So who knows? But I'll quit rambling. That's really all I've got. I think it's got great potential, and I just wish they would do a better job of documenting the whole thing. So if you got something out of that, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't done so already, I'd love it if you hit that subscribe button. Feel free to stick around, watch a few of the other videos, and share the videos with your friends. But one way or the other, we'll see you for the next one.